A few years ago, I was facing a serious problem. Nothing seemed to work. No matter what I tried, every path felt blocked. It was frustrating, and I didn't know what to do. Around that time, someone told me something surprising. He said that I should visit our ancestral goddess or the deity of our family and perform a small ritual. What? An ancestral goddess? I had never heard of such a thing in our family. See, every family has a particular deity connected to their lineage, a Kula Devata. This deity protects the family and guides them through generations. But our family always worshipped Ganapathy as our family or Kuladevata. So I told him, there's no ancestral goddess worship in our family. But he said, in Kerala, every family has an Amma, a mother goddess. Ask your elders and find her. I had no idea where to begin, especially living in the US, so I slowly forgot about it. And after some time, that problem that I'd been struggling with disappeared almost miraculously. Eventually, I forgot about finding the family goddess, and life just moved on. Earlier this year, I happened to be in India for some work, and suddenly, almost overnight, our schedule just changed, and we were given a new assignment in Kozhikode, Kerala. When we looked at the map, we realized it was only about 3 hours from my mother's hometown and from the family Ganapathy temple, our Kuladevata. So I decided to make a quick visit and meet some relatives that I hadn't seen in many years.
എൻ്റെ പേര് PC പ്രിയദർശൻ ആണ്.
PC. Our family name begins with the initials PC. In Kerala, these initials often refer to an ancestral village or a family home. We belong to the PC warrior family. I had never really thought about what those letters meant. P stands for Pallithara. C stands for Chengalayi. The Pallithara Ganapathy temple is the temple our family always worshipped as our Kuladevata. It used to be a very small temple, but my uncle, Priyadarshan, whom we fondly call Mani Mama, decided to renovate and expand it. After working for many years in the Middle East, he returned home and felt inspired to bring this temple back to life. It made me wonder if living outside of India sometimes makes us want to protect our traditions and cultural roots even more.
ഭഗവാന്റെ ഇച്ഛക്കനുസരിച്ച് നടത്താനുള്ളൊരു ടൂൾ മാത്രമാണ് ഞാൻ എന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നാറുണ്ട്. കാരണം ഈ ഗണപതിയപ്പൻ്റെ ആ കാരുണ്യം, ഗണപതിയപ്പൻ്റെ ആ ശക്തി എനിക്ക് സത്യം പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഞാൻ അനുഭവപ്പെട്ടൊരു വ്യക്തിയാണ്. പല പല പ്രതിസന്ധികളും പല പല പ്രശ്നങ്ങളും ഞാൻ അത് ഫേസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് അതിൻ്റെ ഉത്തരം തന്നെ ഈ ഗണപതി ഭഗവാൻ നമുക്ക് തരുന്നുണ്ട് എന്നതാണ് എന്നെ അത്ഭുതപ്പെടുത്തിയത്.
As our family slowly reconnected with Pallithara Ganapathy through the temple expansion work, we began to see stability and solutions appearing in our lives.
ഇവിടെ വന്ന് താമസിച്ചതിന് ശേഷം എനിക്കുണ്ടായ എൻ്റെ അനുഭവങ്ങൾ വേറെ ആർക്കും കിട്ടിയിട്ടില്ല. എനിക്ക് അത്രയും ഗണേശനെ കൊണ്ട് നല്ലൊരു സഹായമാണ് എനിക്ക് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. എൻ്റെ മക്കൾ ഞാനും വളരെ നല്ല രീതിയിൽ ഇവരുടെ മുമ്പിൽ കഴിയും.
Our family embraced Ganapathy as our root. Pallithara was the P in PC, connected to the Pallithara temple. I had never really given a second thought as to what the other initial in our name was, the C. It stood for a place called Chengalayi.
ചെങ്ങളായി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ സ്ഥലത്ത് ചെങ്ങളാ വീടുണ്ട്. ആ ചെങ്ങളാ വീട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് 2 വാരിസ്യർമാരെ, അതായത് നമ്മളെ പൂർവിക അമ്മൂമ്മമാരെ തൃച്ചംബരത്തേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവന്നു.
More than 8 generations ago, these 2 women left Chengalayi and settled in another town, Trichambaram. That single move shaped the entire family that came after them. That's because in Kerala, families traditionally followed a matrilineal system. The family line is traced through the mother's side of the family, so their children and grandchildren spread across the region, and the Chengalayi family split into northern and southern branches.
തെക്കിൽ നിന്നൊരു വാരിസ്യറെ ഇവിടെ ഒരു നമ്പൂതിരി 8 ജനറേഷൻ മുന്നേ കല്യാണം കഴിച്ചു കൊണ്ടുവന്നു. ആ നമ്പൂതിരിക്ക് ഈ വാരിസ്യറിൽ നിന്ന് 4-5 പെൺകുട്ടികളുണ്ടായി എന്നാണ് ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. അതിൻ്റെതായ തുടർച്ചയാണ് ഇവിടെയുള്ള എല്ലാ ആൾക്കാരും.
Somehow, this history had completely faded over the generations, until something I had forgotten began to reveal itself once again. As I was planning this small detour during my trip in India, my family casually mentioned that an ancient goddess, Devi, had been identified as our actual family deity.
വലിയ വലിയ ഞങ്ങളവിടെയായിരുന്നു. അതിൽ രണ്ട് ഭാഗമായി ഒന്ന് തെക്കും ഒന്ന് വടക്കുമായി. എല്ലാവർക്കും ദേവി തന്നെ, എല്ലാവരും ഈ തെക്കും വടക്കുള്ളവർക്കെല്ലാം ദേവൻ.
It seems the elders did a prashnam. This is a traditional temple divination ritual used to ask the deities for guidance. In the prashnam, it was said that for all those who originated in the Chengalayi home, there is a family goddess that has been forgotten.
ഈ തെക്കുള്ളവർക്ക് അങ്ങനെയല്ലാന്ന് അവർക്ക് ഒരു ഗണപതി സ്വന്തമായിട്ടുണ്ട്. അത് പള്ളിത്തറ നിങ്ങൾ ആരാധിക്കുന്ന മൂർത്തിയാണ്, പക്ഷെ കുലദൈവമല്ല. കുലദൈവം വേറെ ഉണ്ട്, ദേവിയാണ്.
For a moment, my entire being came to a standstill. Suddenly, I remembered the serious problem I had struggled with years earlier. The words spoken to me back then about an ancestral goddess in the family came ringing back in my ears. This was the goddess, the Devi, I had been told to visit when I was going through all of that. So I reminded my parents about the instructions I had received. They told me that when they came to know about the family goddess a few years ago, they immediately visited her shrine and performed a puja for my well-being. The goddess was in Chengalayi, but they didn't know anything else about her. When I compared the date of that puja my parents did with the time when my problem mysteriously disappeared, I was absolutely floored. It was the exact same month. A deep guilt and shame came over me. This goddess, even though I didn't know her name, I had never even seen her, I had denied she even existed, she still helped me while I was sitting thousands of miles away in the United States. Suddenly, it dawned on me that this completely unplanned trip to Kerala may have been orchestrated by her to help me understand more about my roots and about her, our family goddess. So, I asked my parents if I could go and see her during my trip this time. But when they checked, the priest who takes care of that shrine wasn't available that day. But by then, a deep longing had taken over me. Who was this family goddess who had been there for me all along? Even if the shrine wasn't open, I decided I would anyway just go there, hang around, and see what more I could learn about this goddess. When we arrived, we saw that the goddess was kept inside an abandoned Tharuvadu, which is a traditional ancestral home in Kerala. One of our distant relatives from Chengalayi, Sridharan uncle, lives nearby with his wife and brother. Once a month, they come to the house and bring offerings for the goddess. Before we entered the Tharuvadu, uncle explained what little he knew about the goddess, Devi.
ശാന്തമൂർത്തിയാണ്. ചില ആൾ പറയും തായ്പരദേവത രോഗമൂർത്തിയാണെന്നാ പറയുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ അതിപ്പോൾ ഏതാണെന്ന് എനിക്കറിയില്ല.
Outside the house, there was a small place where a lamp was lit once a day, facing an ancestral grove called Sarpakav, a sacred grove dedicated to the serpent deities. Inside a small chamber of the house was the shrine of our goddess. She is worshipped in the form of a sacred metal mirror, traditionally made in Kerala, called as Aranmula Bimbam. But we couldn't see her during this visit. The shrine is opened only when the proper offerings are ready and the priest is present to invoke her properly.
അതിനുള്ളിൽ കെട്ടിക്കുടിച്ചത്
അത് നെല്ലറിയാണ് അതിൻ്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ. അതിൻ്റെ ഈ സൈഡിലാണ് ഈ ദേവീൻ്റെ സ്ഥാനം.
It was difficult for me to see our mother goddess this way. We just sat there quietly and meditated. Something about it just weighed heavily on me, and I couldn't stay inside for very long. As we looked around, many small clues began to appear. Just outside the temple was a Ganapathy that looked very similar to the one at our Pallithara Ganapathy temple.
കിണർ തോണ്ടുമ്പോൾ കിട്ടിയതാണ്. കിണർ തോണ്ടുമ്പോൾ കിട്ടിയത് എങ്ങനെയാ അവിടെ വന്നതെന്ന് അറിയില്ല. കിണർ തോണ്ടുമ്പോൾ കിട്ടിയത്. അപ്പൊ എങ്ങനെ വന്നറിയില്ല, ആരെ കൊണ്ട് ഇവിടെ നിശ്ചയിച്ചാണോ ഇനി എന്തെന്ന് അറിയില്ല. പക്ഷെ ഈ ഒരു പിന്നെ പറയുന്നത് പിന്നെയാണ് നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കിയത് കളിച്ചറിങ്ങനെ ഗണപതിയുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് ഇവിടെ കൊണ്ടുവന്നപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ ഇതിനെ പരിപാലിക്കണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഒരുപാട് പണിയുണ്ടല്ലോ. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഗണപതി വെള്ളത്തിലിട്ട് പോയതാണോ അറിയില്ല.
This made me wonder what the real connection between this family goddess and our Pallithara Ganapathy was. Could it be that both were once worshipped together in the same place to protect the Chengalayi house? And then, when the family later split apart, maybe the deities also were split in two directions. There were so many questions, but so few answers.
അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ധർമ്മദൈവം ഈ പിന്നെ കിണറിനടുക്കായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ദിവസം ഒരിക്കൽ പണ്ട് പ്രശ്നമൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു, എനിക്ക് ഒറ്റയ്ക്ക് താമസിക്കണ്ട, പിന്നെ കുടുംബത്തിൻ്റെ കൂടെ വന്നു. അങ്ങനെയാണ് കുടുംബത്തിലൂടെ വന്നത്. ഇപ്പോൾ കുടുംബം ഇപ്പം എല്ലാവരും പോയി.
What a tragedy. All she wanted was to remain with the family in the house. But over time, the families moved away and she was left here alone. From Uncle, I gathered that in the recent generations, it had become difficult to maintain all these traditions because families had scattered to different places and the memory of the original Kuladevi had slowly faded. But he said in recent times, many people from this extended family, when they began facing difficulties in life, they were somehow guided to come here in search for their ancestral goddess to come out of whatever struggle they were going through. That evening, we went to the Pallithara Ganapathy temple to offer our gratitude and to seek blessings to understand this mystery further.
ഭഗവാന്റെ മുമ്പിൽ അതങ്ങോട്ട് അവതരിപ്പിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾക്ക് അതിൻ്റെ റിസൾട്ട് നമുക്കെന്നെ സ്വയം കണ്ടതാണ്, നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്നതാണ്.
Within 2 weeks of this trip, I had the opportunity to meet a respected Siddha Guruji who performs traditional Jivanadi readings. This is an ancient form of spiritual guidance which is rooted in the Siddha tradition. As the reading unfolded, many details about my life began to emerge, things no one could have possibly known. This gave me a deep sense that there truly was a guiding presence behind all these events. So, I asked about this family goddess.
உள்ளதொரு உங்களது வம்சத்தார்கள் உண்டான வாரியார்கள் அனைவருக்கும் இன்னதொரு இடத்தடிலே இருக்கின்ற இந்த ஒரு தேவியும் முதன்மையாகும். அந்த ஒரு தேவியின் பெயராக அப்பனே இறந்த பெயர் மறிவித்தானே மாறியே வந்தது இந்த பெயர் மகத்தான தர்ம சம்பர்த்தினி என்ற பெயர் தான் இந்த அம்மாளுக்கு. தர்ம சம்பர்த்தினி அன்னை பராசக்தியின் உருவமாக அனைத்து மக்களையும் காக்கின்ற உள்ளதொரு தெய்வீக தேவிதான் உயர்வான தர்ம சம்பர்த்தினி. இங்கு பிறகு மருவியது இருந்த காலம் தொட்டு வேறு வேறு பெயர்களில். அப்போ இது ரொம்ப பூர்வீகமான கோயில். இது முதல் வெறும் இடத்திலிருந்து பிறகு அந்த தரவாட்டில் வச்சு அதுக்கு பிறகு அவங்க கட்டி அதுக்கு முதலெல்லாம் மரத்தின் அடியினிலே இருந்த மகத்தான தர்ம சம்பர்த்தினி அருள் புரிந்து வந்தால் இவள் தான் உங்கள் வம்சத்தில் உள்ளவர்கள் எல்லாருக்கும் மகத்தான தெய்வமாயிருக்கின்றாள். வம்சத்தில் இருக்கின்ற வாரியார்கள் வாழ்க்கையது இன்னமும் மேன்மையாகவும் உள்ளவர்கள் பணம் கஷ்டம் சிரமம் உண்டான துன்பங்கள் நீங்கி நல்லபடி எல்லா குடும்பங்களும் நன்றாக வாழுவதற்கு வாய்ப்பு உண்டு. அந்த காலத்துல பள்ளித்தர கணபதிட்ட அனுமதி பெற்று தான் இங்க எல்லா பூஜையும் நடந்திருக்குது. அங்கிருந்து எல்லா விதமான ஆபரணங்களும் அம்பாளுக்கு வந்து கூட்டியிருக்கிறாங்க.
So, both deities were very deeply connected. Pallithara Ganapathy and the goddess, or Dharma Samvardhini, were once worshipped together. And that's not unusual, because in many Devi temples, a Ganapathy shrine is also placed beside the goddess, because Ganapathy is usually worshipped before any ritual begins. So, this connection is undeniable. As we heard this, it began to feel as though the deities themselves had decided it was time to reconnect these temples once again. It was almost as if everything had been orchestrated silently by them, because we came to know that people who had no idea about our recent discoveries had already begun taking steps in that direction. Mani Mama had already begun planning to bring offerings from Pallithara Ganapathy temple to our family goddess Dharma Samvardhini for her annual puja. An age-old connection, lost for nearly 7 or 8 generations, was now coming alive again before our eyes. On my way back to the US, I kept thinking about this family goddess, Devi, Dharma Samvardhini Devi. It was her who helped me when no one else could. Today, many of us face struggles like health problems, delayed marriages, difficulty in having children, or property disputes. And when people try to understand the deeper cause of these issues, very often the answer points back to the Kuladevata, the family deity. When a Kuladevata is not worshipped for long periods of time, people say their protective presence slowly withdraws, not as a punishment, but just because that connection has faded. Who knows how many such Devis and Devatas may still be quietly waiting to be rediscovered, while their own people sit far away in the cities, struggling through life without remembering these ancient bonds that live in our blood. They are always waiting to be of help, but are we willing and wanting to receive it? After this experience, I realized if we take even one baby step toward them, they take 100 steps toward us to make their presence felt. My journey may have brought me to her doorstep, but I guess the journey has only just begun. As meaningful and fulfilling as this visit was, I was still not able to see her this time. Maybe there's still something else that I must do before I'm ready. And so the journey continues with all its mystery and beauty.